from a blustery Masai Mara in southwestern Kenya. My name is James Hendry, and you're looking at 3 male lions of the Black Rock Coalition and 1 slightly irritated wattled lapwing. Now, just to the left of them, the Black Rock Pride that we have been following for the last 3 days is sitting on this termite mound. You can see their eyes flickering there. 3 lionesses, 9 tiny little cubs. We've watched them reuniting with the females over the last 2 days. We've watched these 2 females feeding off a zebra carcass, coming back to the cubs getting lost, then making their own way back to the den site. Look at them, they are just adorable beyond words. And the final, unless you're their mother, of course, the final piece of our little story here would be to see them reunited with one of the males or all 3 of the males, all 3 could be fathers, but to see them reunited with the males that are the coalition that dominate and protect, of course, the Black Rock Pride. And that's what we're hoping to see here. Let's introduce you to those males while the cubs feed. They're now making a noise, which means the males will know that they're there. This fellow here with the salon quality hair, not sure what his name is. I know very little about his background. He's a magnificent looking fellow. Then just beyond him, of course, over the top of the irritated wattled lapwing, standing chest puffed out. That's it, get out of the way. No. There's another one, also magnificent looking fellow. And then in the background there, grizzled, and you can see he ain't winking at you, he's only got one eye. And this infrared light that we're using, no natural light here, at least unnatural light at all, everyone. This is purely infrared light. We're using a specialized camera, and it's almost full moon, so it's a beautifully light night. And what we're going to do is sit here while you ask us questions or send us your comments, as we'd love to have from you. We're going to sit here for the next little while and watch and see if we don't see the final piece of our little story coming together, the males meeting up with their offspring. Oh, Nikki, yes, absolutely. You say, will the males discipline, at least the females discipline the males if they're too rough for the cubs? Most certainly they would. But you can see here, there's no ways that these males don't know that the females and cubs are up on that termite mound. What I'm really hoping will happen is that the females will come down and greet the males, and then there will be an interaction between the males and the cubs. It's unlikely that the male will get up and go up there and start to interact with the cubs unless they come to him first. The males are just generally not that interested in cub rearing. In fact, they're not interested in it at all. They're interested in protecting the territory in which their prides live, but their role in actual parenting, physical parenting, is almost non-existent. And it's the most touching thing in the world to see little cubs with male lions. Now, Terry, you want to know, Kerry, I think, you want to know how old I think these males are. Terry with the T, sorry. I'm going to put this male at roughly 8 years old. I think he's a male in his prime. He's not particularly scarred and wrecked. He's got a couple of scars on his noses. His nose is almost completely black. He's got a big full mane that is dark. I think he's about an 8-year-old male. I'd put the other male behind him at roughly the same age. The wattled lapwing, I'd probably put it about, 4 months or so. And then the one-eyed chap behind, I think, is a bit older. He's probably about 11 or so. This chap may be a bit older. He might be about 9. You can see his nose has taken the odd battering. His whiskers are not quite as pristine as they once were. His moustache not quite as bushy as he might want it to be. Oh, now, Sharon, interesting question from you. You say, isn't the one-eyed male Scarface? No, Scarface lives way the other side of the reserve, and he actually still has his eye. I'm not sure if it shines or not, but this chap is missing an eye. His eye is gone completely. So he is quite far from being scarred in the face. He is missing a piece of it. And he's very characteristic of this area. And Rob, you're wondering if the males will kill the cubs if it's not theirs. Well, possibly. But you see, this is a coalition of males. Often they don't know which cubs are theirs and which aren't. And a coalition that one of whom will sire cubs will not kill the cubs of other members of the coalition. But if another coalition was to come in here, or another male lion who was unrelated to this coalition, absolutely he would kill the cubs. But males in this coalition would be highly unlikely to try and kill the cubs. And in fact, because there are 3 litters in amongst those 9 cubs, it's probably, it's not unfeasible that all of them are fathers, and they won't know whose is whose. And that's the clever thing about how these prides work. Let's go back to the cubs quickly and have a look and see if they're still feeding. Carol, lovely question, such a human question, and I mean it's a question that I've asked and wondered myself. You say, do male lions ever stay with their sons for life? It does happen from time to time, you know, that a male lion will create a coalition with his father. The slightly unpleasant thing about that, I guess, from a human point of view again, is that it will almost certainly result in some kind of incest within their prides. So if a male lion does join with his father, and the father, you know, retains the same territory, the natal territory that the younger male was born into, he will mate with his sisters, his aunts, his mother, quite possibly. But although, from a human point of view, that doesn't sound very nice, it actually doesn't make any difference to lions for apparently up to about 6 generations. So it's a totally normal thing from time to time for there to be inbreeding in lion prides. Now, as things get a little bit more aggressive here, just because the females are getting sick and tired of having the cubs constantly badgering them for milk and for playing, well, then the chances that they'll spill down off the edge of this rock towards the male get that much higher. And the male, no, he's put his head down now, I think. Anyway, let's just keep watching the cubs for a little while and see what happens. A question from Nikki Austin. Nice to hear from you again, Nikki Austin. You say, is there a dominant male in this coalition that could have mated with all 3 of these? Nikki Austin, I think as you well know, it's unlikely that there is a dominant male in this coalition that would have manipulated or monopolized all mating opportunities. It is possible that one of the males could be slightly more dominant if he's bigger and maybe slightly older than the others. But you'll find that mating is almost shared fairly evenly. So if, you know, one goes off with the female when she comes into estrus, he will monopolize her for the duration of her estrus and without conflict from even smaller, you know, even bigger males within the coalition. So I think it's unlikely that they've all been fathered by the same male. Ooh, here we go. Here we go. Come on, my girl. Come and say hello to the big fella. This is fantastic. She's now so close to him, she looks like she's going to lie down. Don't lie down. Oh, no, she's going to have a wee. Fantastic. I'm not sure that he'll appreciate that. Well, let's see what he does. He's looking at Fergus, who's on camera, who's just dropped something on the bottom of the car. Bad luck, Fergus. Are you all right? Joshua, you're wondering if lapwings are always cranky. When surrounded by lions, almost universally, yes, they are cranky. In fact, I'm pretty sure that that poor lapwing's got a nest somewhere around here, has been harassed by the females, and now the males and the cubs for quite some time. Let's see where she's gone now. Vera, you want to know if the bird is in danger? No, the bird is a very good flyer, which lions, of course, are inescapably not. And so the cubs are now down right close by to the male. This is very exciting. Vera, the bird is not in danger. It will fly away if they get anywhere near it. It did get itself into a bit of danger with one of these females earlier, just as the sun set, because it made such a noise that it irritated one of the lionesses to the extent that she chased it. But then it flew off, and then it shut up and just has continued to make the odd squawk. Oh, this is too cute. I'm just so desperately wanting to close the loop here and see the male meet the little ones, and I'm hoping the little ones are going to spill down off this rock and come and say hi to the big fella, who is not reacting to them at all now. And you can see, like I said, he doesn't seem to have a particular interest in meeting them or saying hello to them. I'm sure he has met them before. But he's not going to come and say hello again, not going to read them their bedtime story or give them a bath. But I think they might get bored and come wandering over to him. And then we'll be in for what I believe is one of the most delightful things you can see in nature. An enormous male lion patiently dealing, and sometimes not so patiently, but trying patiently to deal with these little cubs. Look, she's just giving him a little bit of a hug as he bites off her leg. Yeah, Heather, absolutely. You say, would the cubs go to the male without the female prompting them? Yeah, I mean, she doesn't kind of point at the male and say, go and say hi to your father. They will get bored and see him, and the bolder ones will go over first, and then the less bold ones will take their lead and sort of go over and say hi. But it would help, Heather, if the female was closer by to him. If she was near to him and sort of greeting him, then yes, I suppose they would take a bit of a lead. Now, she's getting irritated because there are so many of them trying to suckle, and it's just sore and irritating for her, I think. Don't go that way. Come back this way, chaps. Come on. The male hasn't got up yet. He's still just watching with interest as his offspring are raised selflessly by the lioness. Yeah, here she goes. She might go and say hello. You can see very full belly. They've had a fantastic meal over the last 2 nights. A big zebra they killed without the males. The males were nowhere near it, so the lionesses managed to eat it all on their own. Oh, exhausted from the day's excesses. Let's have a look and see what the other 2 males are doing. See if they're up, perhaps. See, their heads are up, so I mean they're listening constantly. But unfortunately not showing a great enthusiasm for meeting the youngsters. Let's just go back maybe to the cubs and see if they aren't going to make their way down here. They've all gone back up onto that termite mound. Oh, some more down, now suckling. See, she'll tolerate just a few of them suckling, but to have sort of 6 or 7 of them, she's really going to get very irritated with. Now the cubs are getting restless. So they're trying to feed, they're trying to play. They've woken up from their little nap that they had, and she's now getting deeply upset with them, saying, go away, leave me alone. And if you look very carefully here, that's not a smile she's giving them. If you look very carefully, you'll be able to see that they're different ages, these cubs. And so I think they're between 5 weeks and 8 weeks old. A very little one there at the back, and a slightly larger one there on the left. Mike, you say, is this James? Yes, it is I. I'm not one of the lions, obviously. This is me presenting. Yes, hello. Hello, Mike, it is I. I'm most impressed that you managed to identify me from just the sound of my voice. Look at this. I mean, it's just too precious. And of course, this little thing now trying to get at a lower down teat, and now it's found a toy to play with. Mum's tail, always the best, and there's a pom-pom on the end of it, and who would want to play with a pom-pom more than a small cat? Now, we just spotted that. Are you going to go and say hello? Are you? No, just a little bit too nervous. Marie, you want to know if the 9 cubs are here? Yes, we counted all 9 on top of the termite mound there. All 9 gorgeous little cubs. And now trying to get in on the action from the wrong side. It's not going to work from that side. And Cookie, you want to know how long the babies stay with the mum. Cookie, they stay with the mother permanently if they're female, so they will remain within this pride if they're female. If they're males, these other three big chaps will chase them out when they're about 3 years old. And there we're back onto the pom-pom there. Now she's wrestled it, managed to get it down to the ground. Oh, that's wonderful. And eventually Mum is going to get irritated and swat it. Sit up and give that little thing a swat. She's learning quickly though how to hold it down. So of the 9 cubs, we're assuming sort of 4 or 5 are male and 4 or 5 are female, plus minus. And that means that this pride will go from 3 females probably to 7 or 8 if they make it to adulthood. Remember, probably only 1 in 8 make it to adulthood. And so in all likelihood, it could entirely possible that from this litter, the pride could be augmented permanently by only 1 member. The males, only 1 in 10 will make it to adulthood. Oh, she's getting very cross indeed. And how she manages to maintain patience with all the strength and power that she has in her hands and her jaws to just very gently cuff these little cubs when they irritate her I think is an astonishing display of self-control. I can't believe these males are so close by and we're not having our favourite moment or my most looked forward to moment. Let's have a quick look at them again. No, this guy's gone fast asleep now. The one behind has also gone fast asleep. Lisa, you want to know what the most charming encounter I've ever seen with a male and his cubs is, I think, probably down in South Africa. We were watching the Birmingham boys of Djuma, and they were interacting with some youngsters, and I watched this little thing come away from the mother and from the rest of his litter mates, and he climbed up over the top of the mane of his father or his uncle and down and around, and the male just kind of took it. He looked like a long-suffering sort of saint, and eventually he got a little bit irritated and he let out a bit of a kind of and the cub scuttled back to the rest. But while the patient kind of look on his face was so enormously endearing, because of course this is a terrifying predator you're looking at there, although it's fast asleep, and the patient look on his face and the patience that he exhibited as this little thing tugged on his mane, climbed on his head, fell over and then bit him on the tail was just fantastic. So I think that's probably the most endearing male-cub interaction I've seen. Let's have a look and just see quickly what the other 2 are doing. I suspect that they are fast asleep, as well as the next windstorm comes through. It comes through here every sort of half an hour or so. We get a windstorm through here. We are, of course, live in the Masai Mara with 3 of the Black Rock males and the Black Rock Pride, and we're hoping desperately that there's going to be some kind of meeting between these giant males and their tiny little cubs that they have sired. Lisha, you're in Ohio. You say, what a beautiful sight. Yes, it is, isn't it? It's fantastic. It's almost full moon, 1 night off the full moon here in southwestern Kenya. And what a beautiful way to spend a full moon evening, or nigh on full moon evening, sitting here with lions in the middle of one of Africa's most iconic wilderness areas, with a little cameo performance, of course, from the wattled lapwing, sitting on his rock, feeling very hard done by, and every so often letting out a squawk to show his deep displeasure with the number of predators sitting around his or her nest. Marie, you say we're going to stay out the whole night? I think probably not. No, I think we'll sit here and just find out what is going to happen with this interaction, and once this kind of interaction dies down, we'll probably make our gentle way back towards a camp where we can put our heads down. Now the other lioness has come down, a whole lot more cubs have come down. Let's give this another 3 or 4 minutes, everybody, and then we'll let you get on with whatever it is that you happen to be doing before we came live to you. And then you just need to keep an eye out on Facebook, because if the meeting does eventually occur, well, then we'll go live again. I mean, this lioness has got 4 teats, and all of them are now being chewed by the needle-like teeth of these young cubs. It must be deeply painful. And look at them fighting. Very cross with each other. And it's interesting, they're making a noise, and they're obviously completely comfortable with the presence of the male lions. There are 5 of them there. I think there are. And now one of them trying to bite her elbow. She's really going to get very cross shortly. I mean, that is a face of anger. It's not a face that I would like to take on, and I definitely wouldn't be sitting there. Woof. They don't care. They're tough little things. They have to be. In fact, there were 6 of them. And you can hear them all getting cross with each other. Oh, look. Just to the right. Come on. That's it. That's it. Keep going. Oh no. That's a very small one. It can't even make the growling noise yet. I'll try another one. See if we can't convince this poor, long-suffering lioness to give us a meal. Just won't leave her alone. And no matter how she warns them, they'll come back. I think her best bet is to go off to the male and lie next to him, see if they want to brave it. Susie, you say why they're all feeding from one lioness? Basically because only one lioness will let them. It's very easy for the lionesses, although they get irritated, it's very easy for them to just lie on their stomachs like she's done there and not provide any access to the teats, which then makes it impossible for the cubs to suckle. And so if there is access given, they'll all kind of pile in there. And of course they cross-suckle. It doesn't have to be their mothers that they suckle from. They will often suckle from their aunts. They're now, they're only about, 20 meters, say 66 feet or so from the males. The other lioness is up now. It feels so close. The cubs are looking towards the male. The only reason we know he's here, by the way, is that we heard him sneeze, and that lioness shot up. And you can just still see the shining of the one-eyed fellow in the back there. I think he's been rather unimaginatively named a one-eye. I'm not sure what else you call a one-eyed lion, other than one eye. And this is quite unusual because our research shows that there are only 2 males with the Black Rock Pride normally. Well, these 3 are definitely a coalition. They're all very comfortable with each other. There's no conflict at all. They are a coalition. So obviously they don't always together. They will sometimes split apart. And that means, of course, that they probably don't only dominate and protect this pride's territory. They've probably got another one, I suspect, further off to the east of where we are now. Oh, come on, little cubby. Go and say hello to Dad. We're going to give them 1 more minute, and at least, although we haven't quite achieved what I'd hoped we would with a meeting, we have had some spectacularly sweet little cub interaction, and we have met the males that have sired all these little cubs. See, as they start to get a little more bold with each other, they will fight. And I believe a whole lot of you are now coming up with names for the male lions. We've had Pirate, Popeye, Julie, you said Pirate. And what? Winky from Mac. Oh, Winky, I see. Mac, right, Minky, here we go. Here we go. Mac, you said Winky as in winking, closing one eye. Here we have a meeting, everyone, of Lioness and Big Male. Hello. She's saying, what are you doing here, old fella? He's saying, oh, you saucy minx. That makes me a little nervous. I think I'll go off into the bush here. Don't chase him off. Bring him back, please. That wasn't very bold of him, was it? She wasn't being vaguely aggressive. She was just being friendly. There's his pom-pom. Now, this is quite typical. When a male is put to flight by a female, he will now mark his territory as if to say, I wasn't really scared. I just wanted to go over to this patch of ground here and scrape my feet on it, just to show how tough I am. I think let's stay with you, because clearly there's something going on here. I'm not sure it's going to result in what we'd hoped it would. But the lioness is now lying where the male was, and maybe the females will come across now. I do think we definitely need a name for our wattled lapwing, who is doing his best to become the main character in the story. There he is. Very nice. Wally, the wattled lapwing, perhaps? He too could be called Winky, I suppose, except he's not winking. Let's go. Look at that lovely picture of the male lion, slightly silhouetted behind him. Oh, Fergus, that is most artistic of you. Beautiful focus pull. Now lioness moving in towards Wally. I think Wally's going to be in trouble if he carries on with that tone of voice. And the other male has just gone to sleep, I think, behind the bushes now. Heather, you say Larry the lapwing. Yes, that's quite a nice one, I suppose. He'll strike me as a Larry. Larry's a kind of smooth operator, I feel. This chap is not very smooth, I don't think. And Christine, I think you have a wonderful sense of humour. You say call him Dead Bird. Yes, I think Dead Bird is a good name. DB for short. They didn't like that. You see that, Christine? Now he's got, instead of one lion, he's now got a whole lot more on his rock. Squeaky Squawk, Monique, you think we should call him? He's trying desperately to be the main character in our story here. He's chased off the male, and that's right where he was. Is he still in the bushes there? Fergus is on camera, by the way, bringing you these extraordinary pictures. We think, is he in there? I think he is. You don't see him. He's probably about to climb into the car. Alright, I think they're going to wander off back onto the termite mound there. I don't think there's going to be a meeting just yet. So we'll let you get on with whatever it is that you're doing. We're going to deal with Dead Bird. Thank you for joining us for this little broadcast. It's been wonderful fun, deeply cute, although we didn't get to see exactly what we wanted to see little little lions playing and suckling like that. Just a joy all the time, especially in a full moon. If they do get up and meet with Dad, then we'll go live again. So keep an eye out, whatever platform you're watching on. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you later.